Picture this. It's 2025, and the world's gaze has shifted. The United States, once the shining symbol of freedom, prosperity, and global leadership, feels like it's lost its spark. You've seen the headlines, felt the tension, maybe even sensed it in your own travels. Even in places where the American flag once stood tall, Europe, our rock-solid partner through wars, recessions, and diplomacy, the U.S. is no longer the trusted friend, but a source of frustration, even scorn. For the first time in living memory, global surveys show China viewed more favorably than the U.S., a gut-punch shift that's hard to process. This isn't just about politics or cable news squabbles. It's hitting you, the American traveler, right where it stings. From the cobblestone streets of Rome to the bustling markets of Bangkok, U.S. passport holders are reporting colder shoulders, sharper questions, sometimes outright hostility, all because of the stars and stripes on their bags. Back home, fewer visitors from these countries are crossing our borders, a quiet but devastating sign of America's crumbling global reputation. Before we unpack what this means for you, hit that like button and subscribe to Overseas Address. This isn't just a travel warning, it's a wake-up call for every American who thinks our place in the world is still guaranteed. We're counting down 7 countries where the welcome mat for Americans is fraying at the edges, and trust me, you'll want to hear every word. Let's start with number 7, Turkey. For decades, Turkey has been a dream destination for you, pulling you in with Istanbul's ancient mosques glowing at sunset, the chaotic charm of the Grand Bazaar, or the surreal, moon-like landscapes of Cappadocia. You've told friends about the warm smiles of locals, the affordable meals, and that magical blend of East and West that makes Turkey unlike anywhere else. But in 2025, that warmth is fading, and you're noticing. Polls show 4 out of 5 Turks now hold an unfavorable view of the U.S., one of the sharpest drops in global opinion. Why? Years of diplomatic friction, America's support for Kurdish fighters in Syria, tensions over NATO commitments, and Washington's unwavering pro-Israel stance seeped into everyday life. You're feeling it in subtle ways. A shopkeeper in Antalya hesitates when he hears your Midwest accent, or a casual chat in a Bodrum cafe turns tense when someone mentions U.S. foreign policy. One traveler in Izmir shared a chilling moment. Locals chanted political slogans after spotting his American passport at a hotel. Travel advisors are now urging you to stay vigilant, steer clear of protests, and keep a low profile in crowded areas. A spice vendor in Istanbul summed it up. Guests are still welcome, but an American accent can make people think twice. Turkey's beauty hasn't dimmed those minarets still pierce the sky, but for you, there's a new layer of unease. And this is just the beginning. Our next stop sharpens the divide. Number 6, Mexico. Mexico has been America's neighbor and partner for generations, tied to us by shared borders, booming trade, and a vibrant cultural exchange. You've crossed the border for margaritas in Tijuana, explored the Mayan ruins of Chichen Itza, or soaked up the sun on Cancun's white sand beaches. Mexico has always felt like an easy escape, a place where your dollar stretches and the welcome is warm. But in 2025, that connection is under strain. New U.S. tariffs on Mexican goods, stricter border policies, and inflammatory rhetoric from Washington have fueled a surge in anti-American sentiment. Local surveys show distrust in the U.S. at its highest in a decade, with social media campaigns urging boycotts of American brands like Coca-Cola and Ford gaining millions of views. You're feeling the shift in real time. Some of you are swapping out Nike sneakers for local brands or practicing Spanish phrases to blend in. Others are avoiding speaking English in public, with one traveler in Puerto Vallarta admitting he pretended to be Canadian to dodge hostile stares. Tour operators report growing anxiety among American clients, with several group trips to Los Cabos canceled over fears of rising tensions. One luxury travel firm even scrapped plans to buy a resort in Riviera Maya after their security team warned of potential risks. Mexico's beaches still sparkle, its markets still buzz. But for many of you, the carefree vibe has been replaced by a need for caution, a constant awareness of how your nationality might be perceived. The next country on our list takes this tension to a whole new level. Number 5, Germany. Germany has been one of America's staunchest allies for decades as a pillar of NATO, an economic juggernaut and a must-visit for you. Drawn to its fairy tale castles, Oktoberfest revelry, and the history-soaked streets of Berlin. You've toasted Steins in Munich, marveled at Cologne's cathedral, and felt a kinship with a nation that seemed to share America's values. But in 2025, that bond is fracturing. Polls reveal only 1 in 3 Germans now views the US favorably, and just 1 in 6 considers America a reliable partner. Even more striking, only 3 in 10 believe the US will have a positive global impact this year, a historic low. Across Germany, small but vocal protests target US consulates. Online boycotts of American brands are gaining steam, and Tesla sales have crashed by more than 2/3 as consumers reject US product. You're feeling the chill in Hamburg's cafes or Frankfurt's Christmas markets, where a friendly chat can turn into a pointed critique of US trade policies or military actions. Some of you report being questioned about Washington's decisions, like one traveler in Dresden who was asked, "Why does your government keep starting wars?" Germany's new chancellor has added fuel to the fire, publicly warning the US to stop meddling in German politics and accusing Washington of quietly supporting far-right groups, a stinging rebuke that's echoed in local media. Germany's charm remains undeniable, but for you, the welcome in 2025 feels colder, the conversation's more guarded. Our next destination deepens this rift even further. Number 4. United Kingdom. The UK has been America's closest European ally for over a century, bound by shared history, language, and a partnership forged in world wars and global summits. Leaders on both sides have long called it the special relationship. And for you, Britain has often felt like a second home. You've wandered London's foggy streets, sipped tea in the Cotswolds, or traced your roots in Scottish villages, always feeling a sense of familiarity. But in 2025, that warmth is under pressure. Recent surveys show favorable views of the US and the UK have plummeted from nearly half to just over 1 in 3, driven by anger over Washington's shifting foreign policies, new trade tariffs, and a growing sense that America is abandoning its allies. Protests against US policies are now a regular sight in London and Manchester, often sharp-witted and unapologetic, with signs mocking American leadership. British media, from the BBC to tabloids, openly question whether the US still matters on the world stage. You're noticing it in personal ways. A pub debate in Liverpool turns heated when your accent betrays you, or a tour guide in Bath asks pointedly about US elections. Many of you are dodging political talk, wearing neutral clothing, or quietly signaling you don't support Washington's current path to avoid awkward confrontations. A recent global survey found 7 out of 10 American travelers expect to be viewed negatively abroad, and in the UK, that fear is becoming all too real. Britain's pubs and palaces still beckon, but for you, a layer of caution now taints the experience. The next country pushes this unease into uncharted territory. Number 3. Denmark. Denmark has long been one of America's most reliable and friendly partners, a small but mighty ally admired for its rock-solid democracy, high-trust society, and understated global influence. You've fallen for its Hygge charm, biking through Copenhagen's colorful streets, savoring pastries in Odense, or exploring Viking history in Roskilde. Denmark has always felt like a safe, welcoming haven. But in 2025, that goodwill has collapsed. A YouGov poll shows only 1 in 5 Danes now holds a favorable view of the US, while 3 in 4 express openly negative opinions, the lowest pro-American sentiment in all of Europe. The trigger? Former President Trump's bizarre push to annex Greenland, a Danish autonomous territory. Danish leaders slammed the idea as ludicrous, and citizens took it as a personal insult, a violation of their sovereignty. Social media campaigns calling for boycotts of US brands like Apple and Starbucks have rallied over 90,000 supporters, making it Europe's largest anti-American movement. Protests, almost unheard of in Denmark's tranquil political scene, are now erupting in Copenhagen, with crowds chanting against US overreach. You're feeling the shift in stark ways. Where locals once greeted you with quiet kindness, you now face frosty silences or biting remark. One traveler in Aarhus was asked point blank, "Do you really think your country can buy ours?" Many of you are keeping a low profile, avoiding political topics, or even skipping Denmark altogether. Denmark's fairy tale landscapes remain, but for Americans in 2025, the welcome is laced with raw, personal resentment. Our next stop takes this hostility to an even deeper level. Number 2. France. France and America share a bond that goes back to the Revolutionary War, a complex but profound connection that's drawn you to the Eiffel Tower's glow, the vineyards of Bordeaux, and the sun-drenched cliffs of the French Riviera. You've sipped espresso in Parisian cafes, marveled at the Louvre, and felt a romance with a nation that seemed to mirror America's love of liberty. But in 2025, that relationship is in tatters. Polls show only 1 in 3 French citizens views the US favorably, and nearly 3 in 4 no longer see America as an ally. Former President François Hollande put it bluntly, "The American people are still our friends, but your leadership has lost us. You're feeling it in deeply personal ways." In Paris, you're covering American flag patches on your backpack or pinning Canadian maple leaves to your jacket to avoid attention. One traveler from Oregon shared a gut-wrenching story. "I feel ashamed introducing myself as American now, with all the tariffs and rhetoric." French travelers are also turning their backs, with tour operators reporting a staggering 1 in 5 drop in U.S. bookings, a decline industry leaders call unprecedented. French universities are opening their doors to American researchers frustrated by U.S. funding cuts, a quiet but powerful shift in transatlantic trust. France's allure remains unmatched, but for you, the welcome in 2025 carries a heavy weight of disappointment, a silent unease that lingers in every interaction. And now, we reach the most personal, most heartbreaking shift of all. Number 1, Canada. Canada and the US have shared one of the world's closest friendships for generations, a bond built on open borders, shared hockey rivalries, and a sense that we're family, not just neighbors. You've skied Whistler's slopes, shopped in Montreal's markets, or camped in Banff's wilderness, always feeling like Canada was an extension of home. The border was just a line on a map, crossed with a smile. But in 2025, that bond is cracking. Former President Trump's repeated jabs calling Canada the 51st state, mocking its leaders as governors, and slapping tariffs on Canadian timber and aluminum have sparked deep resentment. Polls show only 1 in 4 Canadians now views the US favorably, one of the lowest points in history. You're noticing it in ways that hit close to home. A California couple skiing in Whistler felt a local's anger over US trade policies, wondering if a grueling ski run was a subtle jab. A retiree from Buffalo, who's crossed into Ontario for decades, now pays in Canadian dollars and avoids mentioning politics to blend in. Tour operators report a flood of calls from Americans asking, "Will we be welcome?" Some of you are skipping Canada altogether, opting for domestic trips instead. Canada's mountains and lakes are still just across the border, but for you, it no longer feels like the warm, reliable neighbor it once was. It's a friendship under strain, maybe for the first time under genuine doubt. This isn't just about politics or trade wars, it's about trust. It's about who we are as Americans and how the world sees us now. You know that feeling, don't you? That moment abroad when your accent draws a sideways glance, or a local smile fades when they see your passport. It's not just a fleeting awkwardness, it's a sign of something bigger, something deeper. America isn't the admired, trusted nation it once was, and you're carrying that weight every time you step off a plane. The question is, can we rebuild that trust? Can America reclaim its place as a nation the world looks up to? Or is the damage too deep, the scars too raw? I want to hear from you. Have you felt this shift on your travels? Share your stories, your thoughts. In the comments, I read every single one. And if this resonates, subscribe to Overseas Address, because this conversation is far from over. Let's go back to where we started. In 2025, the world agrees on one thing: America's light is dimming. Even in Europe, once our closest ally, we're seen less as a partner and more as a problem. China is now viewed more favorably than the USA shift that cuts deep. And it's not just talk, it's changing how you, the American traveler, are welcomed abroad. From chilly receptions to pointed questions, the world's view of America is shifting, and it's hitting you where it matters most: your freedom to explore, your pride in who you are. So, hit that like button, subscribe, and let's keep unpacking what this means for us all. Because this isn't just about travel, it's about America's soul, its identity, and its future in a world that's turning away.